Here is how I would use video as a trades business in 2026. So let's use an example. Let's say you are a roofing company, right? You maybe got a couple of guys, you know, you may be doing £1 to £2 million a year, and you're looking to continue to build trust, continue to land new customers. So the first place I would look at would be in surveys, right? You most likely have to go out to a client's property to survey it, to see what the damage is, what the options are. You're gonna have to do a few things, maybe go onto the roof, go into the attic space. I think one of the most underutilized parts of that process is using content in that to explain to the customer what is going to happen. Because they're probably going out to get multiple quotes from multiple different roofing companies, and most of them are probably going to have to come out and do a survey. So the first place I would think about is saying, thanks for inquiring, you require a survey, here's what that looks like. And in that video, it's maybe 2 to 3 minutes long, you're showcasing the process, what happens at a survey, what you do, show how diligent you are, that you're going to show up with the right safety equipment, branded stuff, and then also showcasing what they're going to get at the end of that, right? So I think that would be a really easy place to start to immediately set yourself apart from other roofing companies that they're inquiring to. So that would be the first place. Next, I would be thinking about before and afters, right? You'll be out with clients right now doing projects, and what you probably missed was getting the before shots, right? Now, you probably took a few photos before the scaffolding went up at the survey and things like that, but wouldn't it be great to create some content showing the before and after of that process? So that might mean going out as the job is starting, right? You're maybe in the stage of the scaffold getting set up, or your guys are arriving on the first day, getting some shots of the tiles starting to come off, the before process, and then creating a video of the roof completely finished and the difference that then looks. Again, it just shows to customers, first of all, it positions them in terms of the size and job capability that you have, so you can create content specific for the kind of customers you're looking for. Second of all, it actually shows you're doing real work. You have real guys, that you follow proper safety procedures and all things like that. And third, again, it probably sets you apart. A lot of the other quotes they're going to might not have that set up. So while they're going, they've gone the survey, you've then sent them the survey. Next step, you can send them some videos about some of the similar projects that you've done in the past. After that, at quote stage, I always think that one thing that gets missed quite a lot at the quote stage is a quote explainer video, right? A quote from a roofing company is something that I have never had, and lots of your customers will have never had before. They're not replacing their roof every year. They don't know what the quote should look like, what is and isn't included, and they definitely don't know how to compare your quote to another quote that they've also received. So what you could do is you could make a really smart video that just showcases, hey, this is what our standard quote looks like. These are some of the classic things that will be included. These are things to look out for that often are missed off other people's invoices. P.S. If they don't include this, then you need to think about, like, I don't know, waste disposal, right? You know, what happens if you've quoted for waste disposal, there's an extra 300-400 quid in your quote to do that, and your competitor hasn't. So having a video that breaks down that quote, I think, is a really, really important thing to do. And as part of that process, and it's probably a separate video, you could also then say, so what happens next? You know, a video that says, if you accept this quote, here's all the things that are going to happen. We're going to have to decide a date that works for us all. We're going to have to get scaffolding organized. We're going to have to make sure that your garden's clear, that we have access, that we have somewhere to put the skip. All of those sort of things then need to be organized. And by educating the customer along that journey, there's going to be less surprises for them. Now, you know, there's always something that goes slightly wrong in almost every project, right? But when you've started to build that confidence at the beginning, it gives you a little bit more flexibility that when these things do crop up, you have the ability to be able to firefight them quicker and more trust from the customer because you've put these things in place. Now, we've spoken a lot about some of the content that you would do within the sales journey, right? But what about content for people who have never even heard of you yet, right? And we're thinking about sort of organic social. So again, at the point, they need a new roof. They're trying to think about what they could potentially go out and find somebody who's going to fit their roof. And they're looking at various different options, and they've got A, B, and C, and you're A. And as part of the due diligence, they're probably going to have a wee click around. They're going to Google you. Wouldn't it be great if they could start to see some fresh content across your socials, Facebook, Instagram, even TikTok, of what you're up to, the jobs that you're on, that sort of social proof, right? Where you can see that you are a real company, that you are really trading, that you're actually doing a job. You've got real guys on the job, again, following safety things, all of that sort of stuff. By creating that kind of trust and accountability at the beginning of the whole journey is going to really add to the likelihood of that customer then getting in touch with you in the first place. The next thing I would also do, and this is probably underrated because in a product like a roof, right, as I said, you're not getting a roof every year, but staying in touch with customers and giving them helpful advice on how to continue to care for their roof, or more importantly, how to see if there is something wrong or notice if something's wrong, is continued engagement with that audience. Now, I don't think you need to be sending them 2 emails, 3 emails a week, right? That is crazy. But I think you could probably send an email at least every 2 weeks, right? With a piece of content that is more educational based. So you're sending this to basically anybody who's inquired, as long as you obviously have the right permissions, sending an email to them every 2 weeks with some helpful content about how to notice if something's gone wrong on your roof, if you have questions about condensation, if you're in your attic and you notice something's up with it or a leak or things like that. By constantly being in that person's inbox, not only are you adding credibility further to your whole business, you're just top of mind. The problem is with things like this, it's quite difficult to measure, right? But you'll know yourself, how often have you received an email just at the right time, whether it be a new pair of trainers or John Lewis emailing you about something because you've been looking at exercise bikes or a new jumper for a birthday or something. And they email you just at the right time and you click on it and you go and buy it because it was just there. That is a big thing. Now, that's not going to happen with a roof, right? You're not just going to get an email and buy a new roof. But if that morning they see your email and they go, oh, fine, don't even read it, right? They don't even open it. They just swipe it into junk or whatever. Put it in the bin. Don't read it. And then they're out for lunch with some friends and someone says, oh, I've had a bit of an issue with my roof or what. You're top of mind. They literally received an email from you that morning, and the likelihood of them mentioning your name over somebody else's name is going to be way higher. I don't know if you've ever found yourself in that situation where you're like, oh, that's funny that you mentioned that because this just came up on my Facebook page the other day, or this just came up in my emails, or these just people just... It happens all the time. It's difficult to measure, but by being top of mind makes such a difference when it comes to recommendations and word of mouth sort of referral stuff. So an email every 2 weeks, every week you could do it, but every 2 weeks is probably about right for a roofing company. And I guess another piece of the puzzle is maybe then on your website, right? We spoke about emails, speaking about sales process stuff, we spoke about content online, but again, where is that person going to go to initially when they are looking for a company to fix or replace their roof? They're going to be on your website. And making sure that you have up-to-date content on your website is going to be a massive part of it. So again, you have probably got your before and afters there. You've maybe got a little bit about your surveys and what they're going to do, but content around who you are, what you do, what you believe in, what makes you different from other people. One of those intro videos that says a little bit about you and the business. Again, putting the owner's face or the founder's face there, talking about it, showing the size of the team, showing your vehicles, showing your HQ. All of those things are really important when it comes to building trust. I think especially in the trades industry, there's a lot of mistrust, right? There's a lot of cowboys out there. And the problem is often those cowboys can do prices that you just can't do as a legitimate business, right? First of all, you're probably charging VAT because even if these other businesses are meant to be charging VAT, they're not. You're probably charging VAT, which instantly makes you 20% more than everyone else, right? How do you convince the customer that that 20% is worth it? Because ultimately you know it is. That 20% or the 30, 40% more that they're going to pay to go with you is worth it because you know that your customer service will come back into play, that you have a warranty, that you are going to make sure that that customer gets a great service and that you're not just part of that pile of cowboys that are just going to take cash, do a bad job and run away and never hear from them again. So I think building trust and creating content across all of these different spaces leads to such a bigger amount of trust. So I think by building content across all of these places really, really builds trust with your audience and really ensures that when they're looking at different options, they go with you. So if you are a roofing company or a plumber or an electrician or a gardener or whoever you are, if you're in the trades industry and you're intrigued about how you can build content within your business that's going to leverage trust and help customers buy from you and not others, then we would love to chat with you. If you've got any questions, there's a link below. You can get in touch. And I hope the video was helpful.